All right. How's it going, everybody? It's me, Milo. If you are watching this, you probably already know exactly what this video is about. But I'm going to be giving my very first watch through of Filip Zieba's response to my two-part series on him. Now, I'm sure most of you are here from the full response that I will inevitably put out about this. But at this very moment that you're seeing me right now, I know literally nothing that I know in that video. I have not watched Filip Zieba's video. At all. Dead stop. What you're about to see is my very first reaction to everything in it. I also would like to formally state that being a pretty reactionary person, I may say some things in this video that do not reflect how I view it after having a little bit of time to calm down and formulate my thoughts. So I'd like to say right up front, as a big disclaimer, this is not my official position on this discussion. You can watch the full-length video where I break it down if you want to hear about that. Okay, anyway, with that disclaimer out of the way, let me just move all this shit around. Oh my god, what the fuck? So, I don't know much about what Filip's video is going to be like. Actually, that's not true. I kind of know what it's going to be like, and I think it's going to be really bad. Oh, that's the first bit I've actually seen. I like the edit already. Nice. So this video is called, Oh No, I Got Debunked, Response Vid, by Filip Zieba. It has 26,000 views, which is a shit ton for Filip's channel. You're welcome, by the way, Filip. And while I haven't actually seen any of this video yet, I have seen the response that it got. And let's just say, it's not good. I do understand that in the position I'm in, I'm kind of in an uphill battle to fight, creating a cult of personality. And so I was very wary going into this of seeing people punching down on Filip purely because they like me. And while I did see a few people doing that, which I will say, shame on you, do not do that, a majority of the comments on his video are actual criticisms of his piece and, like, pretty serious ones. The most egregious being, I've seen a lot of people saying that he just didn't even watch the video he's responding to. So we're gonna, I guess, see about that. The other thing I sort of gathered from all these comments is that this video isn't even really a response to any of the points I brought up. It's more like a character defense in him justifying why he does what he does. So again, I have absolutely no idea what this video is going to hold, but needless to say, I think I have an idea. Now, I also want to make very clear at the beginning, before I watch this, that I did give Filip fair warning. 8 days ago, I commented this on his video. Phil, my sweet summer child, I haven't watched this video yet, but judging by the comments, it doesn't seem like this response lands. If you want to use this feedback to make a new response that is more mature and well thought out, I encourage you to do so. Also, take the time to actually watch my videos that you're responding to. Take a breath, level your head, and think whether or not you want this to be your official response that I'm going to judge you on. You have 6 days. This is currently the top comment on this video with 1,500 likes, and it's the only one that Filip responded to. You want to know what he said? I'll save you the 6 days. Chop chop, debunker boy. Bills are due. Filip, I hate to say it, but I think that you just made the single greatest mistake of your career. With all of that said, Filip has doubled down that this is his official response to my series debunking all of his pseudo-archaeology content. This is not me misrepresenting him. These are words he has spoken and doubled down on when I asked him about it. Filip, for your sake, I hope this video's good. All right, let's get into the fun part. So we start with the screen here. 0 out of 5, worst response video ever. Bro wants to get canceled so bad. Google debunkers. Firstly, Filip, I'm sure Google debunkers is going to come up a lot in this video. You dropped the ball with that one. That's mine now. Thank you, though. Secondly, no, I'm not trying to cancel you. That's another theme that I think we're going to see a lot through this video because the description of this is hashtag cancel culture, hashtag debunked. Tell me I drive you Google debunkers like a good little NPC. Bro wants to get canceled so bad. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of that stuff. Give me your best review of the video below. Hashtag cancel culture, hashtag debunked. So as you can see, Filip took the exact narrative that I said he was going to in my video. Did I not literally say in my video, Filip, I'm not trying to cancel you? I'll clip a piece of it to put in the official piece, but like, I'm 90% sure I fucking said that.
You will not believe what they found there. It's seeing giant creatures roaming around him, and he's brought to a shimmering rainbow city. All of this is in his diary. Apparently, there are leaked photos that show us they're trying to cover up something big down there. Cultures all around the world just all independently come up with the same allegedly fictitious anthropomorphic.
But like, I'm 90% sure I fucking said that. Apparently. I don't know yet. So, let's actually watch the thing.
Now that everyone's fallen for my trap of conspiracy theories and misinformation, I can destroy society through open-mindedness and free thinking.
Oh, hey, you got me. Turns out, I'm an evil conspiracy theorist that spreads lies and misinformation for money and fun. And I just wanted to clear up a few things, the direction I'll be going in moving forward, and what I think of my #1 diehard superfan, Milo. Because I actually don't have a problem with him or any of his videos. Okay, I lied. I've got one problem with them, and I'll tell you exactly what that is.
Okay, I want to say right off the bat, before we get too much into this, I actually really like this opening, Philip. I think this is mature. You got a little humor in there. We're going straight to the chase. So far, I think we're good.
First of all, let me debunk him for a change, because ironically, a lot of things have been said about me and my platform that are just blatantly not true, so it's time to debunk some of your myths. In case you didn't know, I've been topping the charts on this channel lately for a few of the theories that I talk about on mine. Which, by the way, congrats and you're welcome for your second most viewed video of all time and counting. Right behind the dismantling of who was probably another evil misinformation conspiracy theorist, Graham Hancock.
Oh, man. Ah, man. Thanks, Philip. Appreciate it for the second most viewed video. Oh, and you, by the way, you're welcome for your first most viewed video. But we're giving him a little chance here. Apparently he has some stuff he wants to clear up, which I encourage him to do. I genuinely do want to hear his representation because, as anyone who's watched my video knows, as much as I do my caricature stick, I do try my best to not misrepresent someone. So obviously if I'm putting words in his mouth, I do want him to use this as an opportunity to, you know, correct me on it. So we'll see where he goes with this.
Kind of an honor to stand beside him. Now, who the hell...
Okay, I don't know if I would go that far though, Philip. I would not say it's an honor, but it's like finding yourself, you know, next to someone on the gallows.
Even am I, and what do I talk about? To put it simply, my channel in a nutshell is interesting shit that blows my mind. Sometimes there'll be cool science facts, other times there'll be archaeological mysteries and urban myths. If you're a fan of fun, theoretical, and speculative theories that tickle the brain and make you go down deep rabbit holes that blow your mind, it might be for you. And if you're not, then maybe it's not. Let's get right to it. When my channel was analyzed, this false narrative of me being this...
Okay, before he gets into that, let me say something. That is completely fair, Philip. As I said in the, you know, my initial video to you, I don't have a problem with like what your channel does. It's more the issue that the things you are saying you are postulating as fact and truth and not giving ample diligence to letting people know that these things are not founded in reality and that there is a lot of evidence against a lot of them. So that's the problem. Believe me when I say that I'm the first one who commends you for taking the time to, you know, put forward interesting theories and mysteries. I've done that on my channel as well. Even in the archaeological world, I've talked about some things that are pretty controversial. The Saruti Mastodon site being one of them. For those of you that haven't seen my video on it, it's a site that could indicate that there was some sort of hominid presence more than 100,000 years ago in North America. It's incredibly fragmentary evidence, but I think it's a really interesting site and it was worth talking about. Now, in that video, I made very clear that the scientific evidence does not support that there were hominins in North America 100,000 years ago, but it's still an interesting one to talk about. So believe me when I say that you don't need to have like 100%, you know, airtight theory in order to talk about it. I totally get that.
Good-hearted guy who only ever talked about science and space and history that slowly turned to the dark side of conspiracy theories and misinformation for profit and clout is just not true. Firstly, I live in Canada. The TikTok Creator Fund isn't even—
Oh, he does live in Canada! I said that in my video. I was like, wait, is he Canadian? And he's Canadian. I think that you would probably say, no, I'll stick to Aruba, thanks. Although I do have a weird hunch that you're Canadian. I was like, wait, is he Canadian? That's fucking sick, dude. Wow. Canadian frat boy, dude. Did I not say that in my video? But honestly, I respect a Canadian frat bro. We don't have enough of them. Let's fucking go.
Open here. I've made a total of $0 from the platform, and my YouTube doesn't even meet the criteria for monetization yet.
Yeah, it does now. You're welcome.
Meaning I haven't received a penny from any of my views. Yes, surprise, surprise, I make these videos for fun. They're all
You know what, Philip? That one I also agree with you on, because as someone who started out on TikTok and was around the size that you are currently when I went over to YouTube, I had not made a fucking cent off of TikTok. The Creator Fund was way too fucking sketchy. With the kind of work that both you and I do, it's something that, you know, it was too easy to get like flagged for something unjustly and then get kicked off the Creator Fund. So it was never really fucking worth it. So I don't think, again, I don't think you're doing this because you're trying to gain a whole shit ton of money, because I know there's no fucking money in TikTok. But views are a different story. And I don't know about that, but we'll see what you say.
Topics that I'm genuinely passionate and just love talking about, not something that I pretend to like for views. I've always loved a good mystery or conspiracy theory for like the past 15, 20 years now. It's just in the core of who I
Also, I want to make a very clear sort of thing here. We're in the first 2 minutes of this video, so I have no idea where it's going. But already, I feel like Filip is talking in a very genuine way, and I really appreciate that. I also think that it's very likely that he may have seen like the first part of my first episode, because he is addressing, you know, me kind of being like, is he doing this for views or is he doing it because he believes it? That kind of thing. So I do think in order for him to have this context, he had to have watched some of my video, at the very least.
am. And I've actually always made these types of videos since the very start of my channel in the beginning of 2023. Yes, my third video ever was a conspiracy about simulation theory, which also got a fuck ton of hate, but that's just the nature of these controversial topics. I'm used to it. Then I made a video about UFOs, another one about a UFO sighting, more simulation theory, aliens, a video about AI taking over the world, even more simulation theory, a 3-part series about the CIA declassifying a book that talks about the end of the world, the Adam and Eve story. One about the long-lost mythical 8th continent of Mu.
Filip, in my video where I was talking about how in the beginning you weren't really doing as much content like that, you know, I guess maybe you were doing more conspiracy content. I was looking primarily at your archaeological and history-based conspiracy theories. That's my forte. The reason I didn't say anything about your, you know, we live in a simulation theory is because that's an unfalsifiable hypothesis. That would be like you and I sitting down and trying to debunk the existence of God. That's just not something that's physically possible. But the archaeological and historical conspiracies that you talk about are things which frequently go against the actual evidence that we have. So yeah, with the Adam and Eve book or ChatGPT taking over the world, or, you know, we live in an Unreal Engine simulator, that's all really fun thought experiment. I totally get that because it's something that, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not my forte, but like there's not a lot of evidence for or against. It's kind of just a fun thing to think about. I totally fucking get that. But in the video, you just showed a clip of like the one where you're, you know, the pyramid dissolving in the sand. I had to watch that so many times because that's your intro to the Bosnian pyramid video. In that video, you are making claims that are straight up not true and vilifying the actual archaeologists and geologists who have checked those claims and found them to be false. So this isn't just like, oh, Filip, you're having too much fun and I want to rain on your parade. What you are doing is actively sowing distrust and also not giving people the amount of information they need to know that the things you're saying are not only like maybe not true, they are not true. They are not true. I'm speaking in generalization here, mostly about the archaeological stuff. I also think that's an important distinction to make, that I specifically focused on Filip's archaeology and history conspiracies, because those are the ones that are in my wheelhouse. I don't do fucking ChatGPT or, you know, like space and stuff like that. That's above my fucking pay grade. And so systematically going through all of his ancient history theories, I've found that pretty much every single one of them has evidence against them. Evidence which I presented in 2 fucking 2-hour-long videos. So I'm not saying that you can't talk about those things. I'm just saying you have an obligation to present the side that's actually founded in reality. It's okay to mention some of the theories and be like, there's an interesting thought that maybe this happens, but, and then you give the actual fucking evidence. So again, this isn't me trying to cancel you. I gotta keep going. This video is almost 25 minutes long, so we're gonna just keep rolling with this.
Mu, simulation theory again, and then finally my 2-part Easter Island series, which was claimed to be my first conspiracy video ever. Which, by the way, these were all within the first 2.5 months of me starting my channel, so there really never was a time that I didn't post this style of video. And yes, I used to make—
Yes, that is completely true, Filip. Again, I'm talking about this from a perspective of the videos I covered, which are archaeology and ancient history. And those are the first ones you posted on that, and it snowballed from there. And we've seen more of them since, and they always do really fucking good. So I know that there's a correlation. I'm not saying that you just suddenly decided to do conspiracy theories. I can kind of see you've been doing that from the beginning.
Make a little bit more regular fact videos than I did conspiracy videos because of mere time management. When I first started this page, I posted every day for 4 months straight. 1 video every single day. That takes time. And
it does, Filip. It absolutely does. And this is another one that I can fucking empathize with, because honestly, you sound like you have a very similar start on TikTok that I did. I was posting like every day or every other day for like the entirety of the summer going into my senior year of college and then the beginning of my senior year of college. I was on that shit all the fucking time. And it was exhausting. It was super fucking tiring. I totally get that you need to kind of like find easy gimmies to do. So I'm honestly, I'm appreciating the fact that he's, you know, sitting down to give little bit of a view past the caricature. Seems like he did listen to that part, because I feel like I'm actually starting to get to know Filip a little bit. I hope he sticks the landing on this because we're only 3 minutes in, but we'll see.
Newsflash, this might be hard to believe for some people, but research for conspiracy videos takes much longer than it does for regular science videos. I used to just not have
Research for conspiracy videos takes much longer than it does for actual science videos. I like that. I'll use that somewhere in the video. I can't make a joke about that now, but rest assured, I'll say something funny about that.
time to go into these deep dive conspiracy topics as much as I do now since I don't post as often, but I still managed to squeeze them in, even back then, because of my passion for them. Yes, I am genuinely passionate about the mysterious topics I talk about and accept that they may or may not be true. But no, I'm definitely just talking about them because I love to lie to millions for views.
You know what, Filip, that's fair. And I think that you are interpreting with your person what I said with my caricature. I don't think that your whole shtick is just lying to people for millions of views. As I said very, very forthright in my video, I accept that you are really interested in these things. I can see that. And that's why I tried to take more of a spin to encourage you to keep doing this just in a more responsible way. I don't want you to stop doing this. I'm not saying you're not interested in it. I'm not saying you're not fucking passionate about it. I just think you need to do it more responsibly.
And this is so much more than just a technical nitpick at these false claims about me. I've always made videos about a slightly more mysterious or conspiratorial nature because they're interesting to me and clearly to many other people as well. That is Phil's Pixel. Things I find interesting that blow my mind that may or may not be true. Sometimes there'll be facts about science, space, technology, math, physics. Other times it'll be a theory that's just fun and thought-provoking to think about while knowing that it may or may not be true. That's the thing. These theories require a level of intellectual nuance to watch. Do your own research, make your own conclusions, but don't demand to silence others who have different conclusions than your own. Everyone needs—
Filip, never in a million years did I ask to silence you. That's the thing that I think makes me think you didn't watch my video, is that I never tried to silence you. In fact, I went out of my way to make very clear that I don't want to silence you. I don't remember where it was. I think it was in the beginning of my first video. I have a thing where I'm like, now I'm not trying to tell you to get off the internet. I remember the fucking clip of me wearing that stupid fucking outfit I had on that day. My thesis here isn't, fuck you, get off the internet. I'm not trying to tell you to get off the internet. This is a bit of a fucking straw man here, where you're trying to claim that I was coming in to silence you and shut you down. I was not trying to do that. I was fact-checking the things that you had a responsibility to fact-check yourself and either didn't or didn't care to actually share everything that you found, and then I was telling you to do a little bit better when you make it in the future. So I'm sorry, but this victim complex is not what I'm trying to get here, all right? I'm not trying to shut you down. I'm not trying to make you feel like you're some fucking pariah. I'm just asking you to do your fucking diligence.
to know that these are just theories. They may or may not be true.
They do, and that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Everyone needs to know that they may or may not be true, but in all of the videos that I watched, again, Filip, 2 parts, 2 hours each, it was video after video of you claiming these things to be fact. And I think that when you make a video that gets 30 million views about the Bosnian pyramids, which is literally just a con man's fucking grift, and you spend it punching down on archaeologists and saying like, this is the truth and they don't want you to know it, how are people supposed to know that you're like, you know, just kind of playing into like an interesting theory? You're saying it like it's fact. You're saying it like it's truth. So yes, we can sit down at the end of the day and drop our characters and be like, yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment. You know what? I'm a fucking archaeologist and I think the idea of a giant fucking pyramid in Bosnia is hilarious. Like I would totally look at that and, you know, smoke a joint and be like, yeah, that's kind of fucking funny, and then move on to reality again. But you aren't making clear to your audience that these are not substantiated theories. And that's where the problem is.
Hell, the same could even be said about my regular fact videos. The idea that you are Stardust is technically just a theory. We may currently—
Yeah, Filip, it is just a theory, but it's a theory that's actually founded in scientific evidence. I think it's really unusual that you're bringing up a video here. This is your first video ever. The one that I use as an example of some of your best content. I don't know why you're using this as a punch down on yourself. I think this video is excellent. And yeah, I'm a scientific-minded and oriented person, so of course I'm going to gravitate towards the ones that are scientific. But the reason that we have this theory is because there's evidence to support it. If you wanted to, you could go into the research for this video and be able to figure out like, so why is it that we know that carbon can only be created from a dying star, which means by proxy, a carbon-based life form has to be made from stardust? That's fucking interesting. And that's actual science and physics and research. And you could go into that a lot farther. So I would say that comparing this video to those videos is a pretty baseless comparison to make.
We have more evidence that supports it, which is why we accept it as a fact, but we also might gain new knowledge, say 100 years from now, that proves it to be wrong. But does that—
Yeah, but that's— wait.
Mean we're not allowed to question it right now? Almost everything from my science facts to my conspiracy videos are just interesting theories.
That's true. But some of them are more theoretical than others, and that's the difference. Yes, there may be something that we learn in the next 100,000 years that we're like, oh, you know, maybe carbon actually doesn't come from the death of a star and it comes from this other thing. Maybe it's not when a star explodes, maybe it's when like two stars collide. I don't fucking know, I'm just saying shit out loud. So yeah, maybe there'll be a way that that mechanism changes, but right now there's science to substantiate it. So that is a much more plausible theory than the Bosnian pyramid. So saying like, well, they're all kind of just theories and lumping them together is completely unfair because there's not a lot of theories against where, you know, we're made of stardust. There's a lot of evidence for that. There's not a lot of fucking evidence for the Bosnian pyramid. So for you to bring them both down to the same playing field and just be like, well, you guys think what you want, you are actively making something that doesn't have evidence seem like it has more because you're putting it in the same class as something that does. This is a really unfair comparison to make, and I don't really think it's getting the point across that you want it to.
Some theories are more widely accepted, so we call them facts, but more on that in a bit. Because I need to debunk the second, or are we on the third, myth about me that's been going around, that I somehow stopped making these science videos in place of only conspiracy videos because they got more views. That's also not true, like, at all. I always have, and still continue to this day, to make regular science, space, and fun fact videos, even before either of these hit pieces dropped. In fact,
Hit pieces. You know what, that's actually fair, Philip. If I was in your shoes, I'd also view those as a hit piece. It was not my intention, and I tried my best, but I don't blame you for that. And you know what? Maybe this is actually a very fair correction, is I don't want to make it seem like you've never been doing conspiracy videos. I don't want to make it seem like your content suddenly shifted to that. I think that with the lens I was viewing it, where I was looking at a lot of your archaeological and historical conspiracy theories, they definitely get more dense as time goes on. Again, I'm not saying that you're not interested in this. I'm not saying that you are, you know, not genuinely driven to talk about these things, but you know, I do think that considering your first video is one that was actually, you know, had a scientific basis, and then your next conspiracies are ones that are sort of unfalsifiable hypotheses, those are kind of their own thing, where it's like science has evidence and no one's actually going to think we live in a simulation. But as you go down the line, I'm using the Bosnian pyramid as the example for all these, sorry about that. But like the Bosnian pyramid, like we have evidence against that. There's not a lot of evidence against we live in a simulation. If you think that, you think that. That's fucking great, you know? But like, the Bosnian pyramid we know isn't true. So if you are continuing to make more and more conspiracy theories, and more of the conspiracies you talk about are less like interesting hypotheticals and more, you know, things that actually have evidence to disprove them, that's still kind of the point I was trying to make. You know, take that for what you will. I'll re-listen to this part to make sure I'm interpreting this properly for the official launch video, but that's kind of what I'm getting for it. So anyway, keep going.
less than 40% of my videos of the past few months have been these controversial conspiracy topics. That's right, the majority of the videos that I post to this day are still and always have been these regular science fact videos, which I love. I even made a video debunking the moon landing conspiracies at the height of my conspiracy videos last July because I genuinely believe that we landed on the moon. But maybe we didn't.
Oh. So I'm going to look into this a little bit more before, my official response. But Philip, I acknowledge this in my video, that you do still like balance. Not everything is, one-to-one conspiracy video. That being said, you are also aware of the fact that your conspiracy videos, and especially the historical conspiracy videos, are the ones that gain the most views. They get the most traction. They're the ones that people fucking listen to. So regardless of what percentage of your videos was conspiracies, I would hazard a guess, again, this is baseless, I'm just saying this from the empirical evidence that I remember seeing when I scripted this video, it would account for a larger portion of your views than that 40% worth of videos. It's not just one-to-one. So that's also something that's worth noting, that those draw in a really big audience, and you have a responsibility to that really big audience to convey to them that those theories have evidence against them. That's the thing. Great that you made a video talking about how the moon landing is real, but no shit, brother.
And I accept that as a maybe, and I don't get angry at people who disagree. This idea that I'm only chasing views, intentionally spreading lies about topics I don't care about nor believe in, is just the most blatant outright lie that I've ever heard. This might be a hard pill for some to swallow, but I am just as passionate about crazy conspiracy theories as I am about fun space facts. I make a wide variety of content, but I guess people just like to focus on what gets them the most angry, which is why I became the conspiracy guy. I suppose this narrative of me being this pure, good-hearted science communicator who only made educational videos, slowly getting corrupted by views and choosing to only spread lies and misinformation for money and clout, is just a better story arc than me always being and still being a guy that talks both interesting facts and mysterious theories, which is what I am. Kind of boring, but I guess this...
I hear that. I also think that's kind of interesting though, because that doesn't actually change anything in my videos. I mean, that's really the kind of takeaway that I'm already getting from this, is that like we're 6 minutes into this and we haven't talked about anything that I actually debunked. I was not and am not trying to cancel you. I never did say that you weren't actually interested in these things, and I posed the question as to whether or not you did this because it got more views or because it was something you're interested in, and then reached the conclusion that it's because it's something you're interested in. But we haven't actually talked about any of the things that I said in my video. You still said all those things. All those things were still wrong, and that's the point that I'm trying to make here, Philip. I see that this is a character defense, and I cannot blame you. I need to articulate that right now, is that like, I don't blame you for this, because if I had someone release a, fucking 2-hour, 2-part hit piece on me, I would also be fucking pissed. And I totally understand that. My first response would be to jump to defend myself versus the things I was saying. But also, as a large creator, I have been criticized before, and I have responded to those criticisms. And I can already see right now that this isn't really touching on the thing I was actually trying to say about him, which feels like I'm being strawmanned a little bit here, but also I don't want to invalidate if he actually feels like I was, insulting him as an individual, even though I tried to make explicitly clear that I wasn't going to do that.
Story just isn't as appealing as the one of me slowly falling to the dark side, so that one just stuck. Crazy controversial mystery.
Okay, you know what? Maybe you're right, Philip. Maybe that's one that I'll have to walk back in my video. Maybe you didn't, start out being interested in science and slowly found, more views and likes and interaction and conspiracies. Maybe you're just always a conspiracy theorist. I don't know if that's better, but maybe that's what you're saying, so sure.
Mysteries and theories don't need to be this big evil thing that we need to silence at all costs.
No, Philip, we don't need to silence them at all costs. I'm not fucking saying that shit, bro.
They could just be theories that are fun to think about and discuss, that we accept may or may not be true. And that's the part that seems to bother people so much. That the idea that it may be true is just a complete lie, and we already know the real truth with 100% certainty, and we can't talk about anything that goes against it.
Oh my god. It's so black and white. It's so black and white. My science videos are just sort of a theory, and the conspiracy videos are just sort of a theory, so they're like the same thing. Philip, the language that you're using here of being like, we know with 100% certainty and we can never, we have to silence everyone who questions us. It's not about that. Yes, there is always a chance that anything you say may be true, but there's a lot of evidence that a lot of the things you say are probably fucking not. So it's unfair to kind of treat that with this weird scientific method thing that you're trying to do, where it's like, you never know, it might be true, and like, yeah, no shit, everything might be true, but we have a lot of evidence to suggest it isn't. That's what all 4 hours of my fucking hit piece was, Philip, is it was looking at all of the different things that you have said and finding the evidence that supports the more likely explanation. I am not saying that I know the ground truth of fucking reality, and I get comments about that all the time, of people being like, oh, well, thank God Milo just knows everything. I don't fucking know that. And by that, I mean everything, I guess. I am doing exactly what you're doing, Philip. I'm doing my own research, and I'm finding evidence that there is things against what you are saying. And that's what it comes down to. This isn't me trying to silence you. It's just saying that, yes, there are a lot of things that may be true, and this is the one that is more fucking likely because we have evidence for it. By claiming that everything is just a theory, you diminish literally everything. Talking about how the pyramid was a giant fucking power plant is not on the same level of scientific maybe as, where carbon came from. I understand what you're trying to do here, but you're leveling the playing field to such a degree that now there's no nuance in fucking anything. I'm trying to find a way to formulate this, because again, this is my first time seeing this, so I don't really know how to like articulate this. I'll write this better in my script, but like, I don't really know how else to explain it other than like, you can't just lump all this shit together. There's difference, and there's a reason there's a difference behind it. Anyway.
But what exactly is so harmful and dangerous about alternate history theories that gets people so angry that they demand to have them removed from ever being discussed? Oh, it's because it's harmful to the hundreds of years of research of experts in their fields. There's this strange movement online that...
Okay, So again, that's a straw man, Philip. They demand to have them removed from ever being discussed. I don't say that. I never said that. I made abundantly clear in my video that I'm not trying to silence you and remove it from being discussed. In fact, I did the opposite. I said at the end of my second part, Philip, you should keep making these videos because I can tell you're interested in them. I acknowledge that. And said you just have to do more diligence to tell people that there's a lot of fucking evidence against all of the theories that you're putting forward. By all, again, I'm talking about the archaeological ones here. I'm not talking about the other ones. Don't lump those together. All of the research that I did for your archaeological videos showed that there's multitudes of evidence against most of the things that you have claimed. You do not get to just say that and be like, it falls under the umbrella of science because it may be true. And so what is the harm about it? It makes people not trust fucking science, Philip. Science is why we have everything we do. It's the reason you can sit there watching me right now. It's the reason I have my laptop open and why my job is sitting in this fucking, jank-ass barn broadcasting to 2 million people around the world. It's the reason we're alive. It's the reason that we have fucking medicine and cars and technology. If you haven't, I really recommend you watch my video on the pseudo-archaeology pipeline. It was a live talk I did at Virginia Tech, kind of talking about why these theories are actually dangerous and sort of the route that it can pull you down and lead you to much more dangerous things. So again, I don't expect you to know this, and I'm not calling you like a fucking, extremist or something like that. But these theories, when you are actively making an effort to diminish the work of actual archaeologists and scientists, when there is a ton of evidence that they've found, you are trying to discredit the people who've actually found the evidence, which makes all evidence found something that people believe in less, which is really fucking dangerous. Where do you go with this? You're about to make a funny voice.
It's because it's harmful to the hundreds of years of research of experts in their fields. There's this strange movement online that villainizes anyone that talks about these mysteries, calling them racists and bigots or just liars and frauds. And I've had a taste of it all. So much that...
Okay, this one is very touchy, and I will address this in my video in probably a way that's going to be more well-versed than this. But that's something I struggle with a lot with my work, is the issue of anthropology and racism. It's something that's really challenging because our anthropology and archaeology are fields that were started by people who were racist, and there are relics of that bleed through the discipline. One of the big things that I learned in my archaeology and anthropology classes was how to dismantle that and how to try and break down that connection with, our sordid past, but also not forget about it. It's something that's important to learn from as much as it is to move past. One of my archaeology professors in college was indigenous and did a really wonderful job of being able to tie together that sort of interdisciplinary side of things and acknowledging the racist past of archaeology, but also being able to pull the things that are important about it and use it to give new wind to the discipline in the future. I have said this before in my video about Graham Hancock. I don't think I said this in the video about you because it never really came up, Philip. But in case you need to hear this out loud, I don't think you're racist. I don't think anyone thinks you're racist. That's a really big card to pull and is why I made a really big point to not pull it in the Graham Hancock piece, because Graham Hancock gains so much fucking pariah complex from any, a tweet saying that he's racist, where, he'll just be like, that's what everyone thinks and fuck you all. But, and here's the very important distinction that I will make. I don't think you are racist, but there are racists who will agree with the things you're saying. That's the big thing that I say about Atlantis. People who believe in Atlantis are not racist, by and large, general brushstroke. I don't think people who are Atlantis hunters are racist just by virtue of being Atlantis hunters. That being said, racists will gravitate towards the Atlantis hunter side of things because it supports their ideology. So that's really the thing here. I don't think you're being racist, but I think that some of your theories are things that already racist people will cling to and morph into supporting their already racist beliefs. Now, that's not really your fault. You can't really control what someone does with your media, but it is your responsibility to look at the things that you're making and kind of see if and how it is being twisted or how it could even be construed like that. I don't agree with this person saying that the racism is insane. I don't really know what you were saying here, granted. But that's not really a point to go for the pistol to shoot back. That should be an opportunity to just look and just think for fucking 5 seconds of like, did I say something here that could be interpreted that way? Because like, believe me when I say, the last thing you want to do is accidentally say something racist, problematic, fucked up. So like, think about it, make sure that you're not saying something that other people could misinterpret as you being racist, and make sure it's not something that other people can, weaponize for their own fucked up, sick ideology that you don't want anything to do with, like myself. Anyway, hope that clears it up.
that other people are now scared to even talk about these theories out of fear of being ostracized and ridiculed. Why don't we focus on dismantling actual harmful misinformation? Like, I don't know, governments forcing everyone to inject themselves with experimental chemicals that later turn out to have adverse health effects or something like that. It's a good thing.
Did he just COVID conspiracy?
Thing that hasn't happened yet, because that would be terrifying. Or even something like Coca-Cola.
Did he just COVID conspiracy?
Like that. It's a good thing that hasn't happened yet, because that would be terrifying. Or even some.
I need to take a fucking second. No, seriously, I need to shut. I need to get a fucking drink of water. Give me a sec. Oh my god. COVID conspiracy. I thought I saw a comment of someone saying something about a COVID conspiracy, and I was like, they must be putting words in his mouth. He wouldn't bring up a COVID conspiracy in a video trying to defend himself from spreading dangerous misinformation. Wow. Oh my god. Okay. Philip, I'm gonna have to talk about this a lot more in the other video, which I'm not looking forward to because I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't do fucking doctor shit. That's not my job. But now I'm gonna have to pretend to be a fucking doctor to fact check this article he just brought up. But I can tell you with the utmost certainty that as someone who isn't a doctor but is part of the fucking scientific community and keeps up to date with science, the COVID vaccine isn't fucking dangerous. I can't believe we're still fucking talking about this. Yes, it is a medicine. I'm sure there are instances of people having a bad reaction to it, but claiming that it's more dangerous than COVID is fucking stupid. We have fucking multitudes of evidence against this, Philip. You want to know what the dangerous thing about conspiracies are? It's this. Because this is the kind of shit that'll make people not get fucking vaccinated, they get COVID, and then they give it to your fucking parents, and they die. Fuck. You really lost a lot of points with that one, Philip. That was a fucking brain-dead take. Wow. Before he started talking about COVID conspiracies, he mentioned this whole thing of like, why don't we, spend more time, destigmatizing and talking about the things the actual, the government is doing. And this is where I do wonder if you watched through my video entirety, because I did that. I did that in my video. I literally said, why are you wasting your breath talking about, the Bosnian pyramids when, we're practically referring back to fucking feudalism with BlackRock buying all the fucking, property and, billionaires, Saudi oil barons buying fucking farmland. Like, Philip, you and I, we may disagree on a lot of things, but we're on the same side. Like, oh, actually, I guess you're not in the United States, so technically this analogy doesn't really work. But we are like the common people. We are the populace. Yeah, a lot of people watch our videos and may think that we're, part of some echelon. We're fucking not, all right? Like, in the grand scheme of how wealthy people are and how, the top of the fucking game are, the people that pull the strings, we're fucking nothing. We are dirt on their boot heels. But the way that the system works is really, really, really fucked, and I totally agree with you. And I brought that up in my video. I made explicitly clear that you should spend more time talking about these things, not expecting you to interpret government conspiracies as fucking COVID conspiracies, but I guess that's just me. Okay, I need to keep going. Either way, I touched on that in my video and you just, I guess, didn't see that part or didn't watch it or something, but COVID conspiracies, oh my god.
Or even something like Coca-Cola funding scientific studies that conclude Coke has no link to diabetes. That is actual harmful misinformation that can literally result in the deaths of thousands.
Yes, that is completely true. That is completely true. And that doesn't make all of the other conspiracies you've been talking about any more true. Coca-Cola lobbying to try and change what happens on a fucking medical report makes perfect fucking sense and is absolutely terrible. That doesn't mean that the Bosnian pyramid exists. Again, I don't know what this whole thing is of trying to make it like, black and white when it's convenient and then lumping it all together into one when it's convenient again.
But no, let's instead label harmless, thought-provoking archaeological mysteries about the pyramids as evil misinformation, and attack and silence the idea that the government might be hiding something in Antarctica, but maybe they're not. Secret alien bases in the South Pole, fraudulent scientific studies about sugar water that people consume every day. Tell me, which one is the real harmful misinformation here?
I did tell you, Philip, in my video, I said to talk more about those things. I agree with you. We're on the fucking same side here, brother. What the hell? I also think it's worth noting that, actually, I don't know if he's made a video on Coca-Cola. Did he make a video on Coca-Cola? He didn't use a screenshot from it, so I'm going to assume he didn't. Big asterisks, and I apologize if I'm wrong here. But who is the one who made the video about pyramids in Antarctica and not about Coca-Cola? You, Philip. Also, even if you did make a video about Coca-Cola and you're counting that as like real government conspiracies, how many more conspiracies have you made talking about, you know, fucking power plants and, you know, giants and, you know, I don't know, that giant bird conspiracy thing? Like, you're right, those are stupid. Why are you talking about those? Talk about the real ones, not the COVID shit. That's literally not, I wish you just would research stuff, man.
And this might be hard for some people to hear, but labeling ideas you don't agree with as factually incorrect or misinformation that damages society are not valid reasons to guilt people into self-censorship.
Oh my god. There's a lot to unpack there. No one's trying to self-censor you, and it's not that I don't agree with them, it's that there is actual evidence against them. The things that you're saying are not true. That's lying, essentially. So this isn't me trying to like censor you because I don't like what you're saying. Yeah, I don't like it, but I don't like it because it's not true. It's not like, well, this just, I don't know, I don't agree with him, and so my empirical evidence is gonna be just as good as his. Like, no, I'm pulling fucking receipts here, Philip. Like, the stuff you're saying just isn't true. It's wrong.
You can call them out on it, make a debunking video on them, but shaming someone from talking about certain ideas is a very dangerous road, my friend. There have been—
Yeah, believe me when I say that I absolutely know that, and you should also know I wasn't trying to censor you. This is, I have lost track of the amount of times he's accused me of saying that I'm trying to fucking censor him in this video. I wasn't. The last half of my second video was me all being like, all right, let's add this together and give you some good advice so you can continue making videos. I didn't cancel you, I signed you for a fucking second season. I'm gonna have to use that in the actual video. That's actually a really good line.
Many things throughout history, especially lately, that were once considered factually incorrect or evil misinformation harmful to society that later turned out to be true. When we suppress or silence these fringe ideas from ever being spoken, it actually delays progression and future discoveries from being made. Like, these theories I talk about exist. As much as I'd love to take credit for them, I didn't make them up. I do research from articles, books.
Again, not trying to censor them or silence them. I mean, hell, if for no other reason, it's fucking job security. As long as there's people talking about this shit, I can do this. Oh god, that's a terrible prospect.
Posts, other videos, podcasts, documentaries, and so on. Find theories that I think are interesting and blow my mind and present them in a way that's quick and fun to listen to. In fact, no one's probably gonna believe me, but my conspiracy videos take on average about 10 times longer to research than my regular science fact videos. That's a fact. My famous Stardust video, which I love that theory, by the way, I shit you not, took me less than 5 minutes to research, and then I just kind of spoke what I learned about.
I completely believe that, and I run into that all the time with what I do. I think I have to make a distinction here between, you know, shorts and long form. When it comes to shorts, when I make a video debunking a conspiracy theory, it's pretty fucking straightforward. But sometimes I'll have to do some research, figure out where images came from, that kind of shit, and I will have to research it in order to debunk it. When it comes to a video that he's talking about here, you can, if you wanted to, make a video with like minimal research. Because it's so well researched, you can find all of that information consolidated into one place. So like, I don't know, if you wanted to do a video talking about this thing with the we're all made of stardust, I bet you could find like an Encyclopedia Britannica entry and just kind of synthesize that out. So I get that. That being said, Philip, it should not take you only 10 minutes to research anything.
Done. Nothing wrong with that, it's just how it went. Other videos of a similar length but a more controversial nature, say my long-lost 8th Continent of Mew video, took a minimum of about 2 hours just to research and script. There's this strange notion out there that conspiracy videos are cheap and easy to make and are guaranteed a lot of views because you could just come up with any random bullshit and it sticks. That's just not true. I don't come up with the majority of these theories myself, and finding information on them usually takes a bit of deep digging. Much deeper than I'd have to do for like a regular space video, which would require nothing more than a surface level Google search. Speaking of Google, how about those debunkers?
Oh, okay, we're bringing up the Google debunkers.
Honestly, Google debunkers, I love that phrase is growing the way it is, and I also think it's fucking hilarious, so please, everyone keep using it, it's great.
Honestly, Philip, I can't even, I want to quip you out for this, but nah, dude, I'm totally with you. It's hilarious, and it's funny. I'm glad we can agree on that. Thank you for fucking rolling with it. I don't know if this is cope. It doesn't sound like cope, so I appreciate that. It seems like you're genuinely kind of fucking, you know, you're into it, but let's keep going.
I came up with it after realizing how much in-depth research conspiracy videos really do take, and how much reading between the lines and logical deduction is sometimes required. A Google debunker is someone who blindly accepts what the news, academics, the government, people in positions of authority and power say as the
Okay, you lost me again, Philip. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, yeah, CNN, sure. The Department of Education, Harvard University and Dr. Anthony Fauci. Oh God, Philip.
Ultimate unquestionable truth of reality. And outsiders...
I don't think, oh man. Again with the black and white, it's not that the Google debunkers think that we have the 100% truth and that everything we read on the internet is the way things are. It's just that those things have more evidence and you can find the evidence for them. I'm not saying we're at the top yet. We haven't completed the whole puzzle, but you're not even looking at the fucking box. You're like over in the corner with the goddamn shoelaces. Also, as glad as I am that you like the term Google debunker and want people to keep using it, I do want to remind you why you came up with that. Now, where it is right now, it's kind of been co-opted by my audience as sort of a, a phrase, which I think is fucking hilarious, and I'm glad you see that too, but let's not forget that the reason that you came up with this is because it was a punch down. So, it's worth noting. I'm glad that you like what it's become, but you gotta remember where this came from.
Their opinions are meaningless and need to be silenced. Someone will spend hours or maybe even days researching a certain fringe topic that a debunker will do a 5-second Google search for, clicking the first, Reuters link that pops up, debunking the conspiracy that Mr. Tinfoil Hat spent days looking into. That is a Google debunker.
So you're doing it again though, Philip. You see that? I don't care what you think about CNN or Harvard or fucking Fauci, but Reuters is pretty good. Reuters is pretty good. There are, if you get something from the fucking Associated Press, chances are it's going to be a little bit better than whatever Facebook post you're looking at. This is the other thing where I don't know what constitutes a valid source for him, because if Reuters isn't I don't blame him if he doesn't think Reuters is 100% perfect all the time, or if, there's no perfect, news outlet that's going to tell you the closest thing to the truth. But then who is the closest thing to the truth? Because I think Reuters can fucking get there. I also hate to say it, Philip, but that thing you said earlier about how it's so easy for me to research one of these, star exploding videos and it's a science thing, I can do it in 5 minutes. It's because there's a lot of evidence for it, so it's really easy to synthesize. That's also why it's really easy for someone to Google any one of the things that it takes you multiple days to script, because you're looking for fragmentary evidence from a bunch of niche fringe sources that don't line up. And somebody with a simple Google search can find the actual consensus with evidence backing it up and be able to debunk it. So as much as you like the term Google debunkers, you are still using it as an insult to people who do their research.
Because I suspect there may be a chance that $1 trillion search engine that basically directs the thoughts of the entire civilized world might have certain people in key positions of power with deep pockets influencing what sort of info...
Oh. See a little Rothschilds and Co. pop up there. You know what? I'm going to use this as a teaching experience. Philip, I see what you're going for here. You're trying to go for large corporations / entities that have a lot of sway in the world. I mentioned BlackRock earlier, real estate. But there are a few on here that have some people gravitate towards them as anti-Semitic dog whistles. So that's what I mean. I don't think that by bringing up the WEF and the Rothschilds, you are saying they, fucking brackets. But this is what I mean when I say, when you put stuff like this out there, you're going to get people who think they, and they're going to be fucking commenting it on your videos. I would also hazard a guess that any information you're gathering is also from Google. I don't know what other search engine you'd be using that somehow has more of humanity's knowledge and less of the, biases of the people funding it. But also, I don't know. No, I don't even know. What? You're also using Google to find all the shit you do, unless you're on fucking Facebook, which I guess is also through Google. So I don't know what the point is you're trying to make here, Philip, other than if maybe I'm the one generalizing now, then fucking nothing's true.
Shown to the masses. But don't worry, that's just a conspiracy, right? And on the other end of the spectrum, we have the far gone tinfoil hat conspiracists who blindly believe every conspiracy they hear as the 100% truth, and in my opinion are just as bad. Although many people may disagree, I don't claim to be either, which is why I talk about both factual scientific topics and controversial mysterious theories.
I hear that. Philip, you're doing the moderate thing. That thing that you hear a lot in, politics, and especially in the fucking archaeology space. Believe me, I know so many fucking creators who are like, I'm just in the middle. I'm a skeptic. And they are a sympathizer to the more alternative viewpoint. And that's kind of what you're doing here, Philip, where I appreciate the fact that you don't think you're a total tinfoil nutcase. And I agree. I don't think you're a total tinfoil nutcase. But again, you are putting scientific videos with evidence backing them up alongside conspiracy videos with evidence against them and claiming that they're the same thing, and they're not. Hope that makes sense.
Some people only like the science stuff. Others, like me, enjoy both. And others absolutely despise thought-provoking conspiracies. And there's nothing wrong with that. But does that mean we should silence and censor those ideas from ever being spoken?
No, Philip, it does not mean we should silence and censor them for the fucking 5th time. It's not even 5th, we're on like 40. We're 11 minutes into this fucking video.
Of course not. You can dislike the video, comment saying you don't like it or that I'm stupid, or even make a 3-hour feature debunking it with evidence. In fact, I support that as it is the basis of free speech.
Thanks, Philip. And that's why I support you too.
What I do have a problem with is shaming anyone who openly discuss these ideas, influencing their audience into calling those people to stop talking about these ideas and strong-arming them into self-censorship because you don't agree with them.
Okay, well you brought up something interesting there. Here you say that the audience is strong-arming you into censorship. In which case, I made very clear that I explicitly stated I wasn't trying to censor you and silence you. Now, you don't give any evidence that my audience has been trying to censor you, but if they were, I would like to formally apologize on their behalf. And I would also like to say directly to my audience that, as I hope this goes without saying, none of these videos are ever an excuse or an authorization to bully or harass anyone that I talk about. I made that very clear at the beginning of the Filip Zieba video. Oh, I just remembered when he said hit piece, I made very clear at the beginning of it that it wasn't a hit piece. I think I literally verbatim said, by the way, this is not a hit piece. I guess hit piece is up to interpretation though, so I don't know. Maybe he viewed it as such. I don't blame him. I tried my best.
Like, genuinely, what's the suggestion here? That crazy theories, even ones as insane as flat earth, should be fully silenced and prohibited from ever being discussed to any capacity? And listen, these conspiracies and mysteries exist and will continue to exist on the beautiful and free-thinking tool we have as the internet. Unless governments and big tech
Well, I thought the internet was controlled by them, Philip.
get more and more involved, suppressing certain thoughts from being discussed online, which I sincerely hope you do not support.
Yes, absolutely. I completely support that. Believe me when I say that, like, as much as I have my strong opinions and stuff, the last thing I want is to fucking deplatform people for thinking a different thing than me. I will never opt for that. The only things that I believe are ever warranting of, deplatforming is something that is, like, actively, like, not harmful, like dangerous. Like people saying like, I don't know, horribly fucking racist shit or inciting violence against people and shit like that. None of that is anything that Philip is doing, obviously. This is completely within the bounds of free speech. Believe me, I know it. I'm a fucking US citizen, baby. But I don't need to explain this to all of you guys because you already know that.
There are huge podcasts and influencers that talk about the very same theories that I discuss. Sean Ryan, Flagrant, Danny Jones, Jimmy Corsetti, everyone's favorite Graham Hancock, Billy Carson, The Y-Files, Randall Carlson, Uncharted X. Many of these platforms almost solely talk about these controversial topics, and there's nothing wrong with that everyone is so keen on silencing from ever being discussed on the internet. They have their audience, me included, and I encourage them to continue spreading their ideas. Not as an ultimate truth, but as an, oh hey, look at this, isn't that an interesting perspective?
Yeah, I hear that. But also, some of the people you've brought up... Oh, wait, hold on. No. I'm falling right into his fucking tar pit trap. That's not what we're talking about. I never once said that these people shouldn't be able to have a platform, Philip. The things that they're saying are similar to what you're saying, as you just said, and I just brought out evidence that the things you're saying aren't true. That's what this is about. So it's about saying something that has a lot of evidence against it and not disclosing that there's a lot of evidence against it, which is lying. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to silence you. And you know that. You know I'm not trying to silence you. You're both putting words in my mouth and then also arguing against a straw man version of me that did not say any of this. So.
Should we then be trying to silence platforms like these from having a voice on the internet, telling them they should be ashamed for spreading or coming up with the same ideas I talk about?
No, Philip, I don't think that. But I will say that at least one of those ones that you have thrown up there has thrown around some pretty fucking serious anti-Semitic dog whistles. So that's one of those things that you probably just want to think about when you're starting to even air close to that fucking territory.
That's insane. Hell, the biggest podcast in the world, the Joe Rogan Experience, has an arguably similar structure as my platform. Sometimes he's got leading experts in science, technology, politics, medicine, physics that talk about their ideas, and other times he's got the fringe theorists that talk about theirs. I enjoy both. Does that mean JRE needs to be canceled, silenced, or at least Joe needs to stop bringing on guests that talk about these fringe theories? No, it's a style of content that has an audience. If it's not for you, don't watch it.
Yeah, again, I totally agree. I don't hate Joe Rogan. I think that Joe Rogan has bred a very interesting type of listener. I'm listening to one of them talk right now. But I actually don't have a problem with Joe Rogan. I used to watch some of his stuff back when I was in high school. I remember seeing the one with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think, who I have my own opinions on. But I think the bottom line is Joe Rogan is a wonderful interviewer. I think he's really good at it. I don't support him having people on who will peddle COVID misinformation. I know he had Kennedy, RF Kennedy he had on there who, peddled some fucking book that was just complete fabrication. So shit like that's dangerous. And honestly, Philip, I think you comparing your platform to Joe Rogan is a better analogy than you give yourself credit for, because you're doing something very similar. Yeah, you sometimes talk about science, but then in the same breath, you'll talk about something that actively has scientific evidence disproving it. But because it's kind of all mixed together in a big pot, nobody has the critical thinking tools needed to be able to tell if the thing you're saying is evidenced against it. If you have fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson in one episode and Graham Hancock in the next, you have a group of people who've kind of been primed to just be like, yeah, anything that comes on here is like pretty fucking good. Like all the evidence must be like around the same level of weight when it just simply isn't. And Joe Rogan does do a good job of that. I remember watching the debate between Flint Dibble and Graham Hancock, and I was worried going into it because I know that Graham and Joe go way fucking back, and they were kind of schmoozing on each other a little bit in the beginning. And I gotta say, Joe did an excellent job of being the fucking moderator. He didn't, pick sides, at least that I felt, and Flint absolutely fucking shredded Graham Hancock, which was hilarious. So either way, this doesn't have to do with Joe Rogan. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm falling right into your fucking trap again, Philip. But no, you're not being silenced.
If you're a fan of the broad range of topics discussed on there's a chance that you might be a fan of my content. If you
I would hazard a guess that a lot of people who are fans of you are also fans of Joe Rogan. You don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely cannot stand JRE, then maybe I'm not for you either. And it's okay, you have a thumb. You can always scroll past if you see something you don't like. Might I remind everyone, questioning things even when facing public ridicule, being painted as a villain who lies for profit and spreads misinformation to damage society is sometimes how we make the most fascinating, groundbreaking discoveries ever. Sometimes, not always. Either way, it's important that we keep these conversations alive.
Yes, I totally agree. It is important we keep these conversations alive.
Galileo was literally hunted down for suggesting the world is round, likely being called a conspiracy theorist or the 17th century equivalent, a heretic, for even suggesting that. But he stuck to his guns, and even though he died while under house arrest for these claims, his theories eventually turned out to be the ones that we consider to be true.
Wait, okay, I'll check this after, but he discovered heliocentrism. I don't think he discovered that the Earth was round. I think we knew that a little while before. I see the point you're trying to make here, and I also can't help but notice that you're kind of comparing yourself to Galileo, which I think is kind of fucking funny. But of course, I don't know why I'm having to say something every time he brings this topic up. He's been saying the same point that I agree with for the last like 20 minutes, so.
Which I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's because he was being persecuted by the church, who was deliberately suppressing information to preserve their power, and we don't abide by that model anymore. That's so cute. It's a good thing there isn't an ultra-wealthy group of people in power that would do the same thing today. But you're right, we eventually...
Source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Yeah, Philip, I'm not going to lie, even if there is some, shadowy cabal controlling the fucking world, it's a lot easier to see the one that, killed Galileo. That was the Catholic Church. It was like an authoritarian theocracy. They like fucking hunted people for being scientists. What? I don't understand this analogy. Of course that's bad. We're not facing you being fact checked on YouTube is not like Galileo being killed by the Catholic Church for claiming that we are not the center of the universe. This analogy is falling apart rapidly.
Adopted what we now know as the scientific method, which is the basis of what we use today to determine what is a fact and what isn't. Which I agree is the best model we currently have available, but it doesn't mean that certain people aren't going to find ways to abuse it for their own benefit. Trillion-dollar companies have literally been caught and admitted to faking scientific studies, which we commonly claim to be the ultimate holy grail of truth for their own benefit. Do you have any idea how easy it would be for a company like BlackRock to fund a scientific paper and then publish dozens of official news articles all claiming a certain result that they paid for? Anyway,
yes, I do know how easy that is. In fact, if we go back a little bit to your scientific method slide, we can see why science is able to weed things out like this. Actually, no, it's not in your scientific method thing. There's a very important step of the scientific method that you are forgetting about, and that's peer review. So yes, a lobbyist at BlackRock or Coca-Cola is capable of putting a fuck ton of money into something to skew results. And yeah, that's fucking terrible, and we need to do everything we can to stop it. I totally agree. But the thing about the scientific method is nothing is proven unless it can be replicated. It should be something that is capable of being shown time and time and time and time again by different groups of different scientists with different interests and different funding. Without that, it is not peer-reviewed. It is not fucking science. So yeah, BlackRock could put a whole bunch of money into publishing a paper that isn't peer-reviewed, put a whole bunch of money into having articles published that are just, put out there, and the layman will look at it and be like, oh, there's a paper backing it up. Sure, yeah, and that's fucked, but it's not fucking scientific. It's lobbying. It's a lobbyist paper.
Anyway, who knows? Maybe 500 years from now, we'll come up with a new method for determining truth that is far better than even the scientific method. That proves we're currently living in a simulation and that ancient Egyptians used levitation technology, or we might not. Believing that humanity has already reached the point that we know the ultimate 100% unquestionable truth about everything and we should shame anyone who disagrees is, in my opinion, far more dangerous than discussing a conspiracy theory that may or may not be true. We, as humans, do have a tendency to believe that our current society
Yeah. Again, I agree with you.
He has a complete understanding of the universe based on how much progress we've made from the past. People in 5000 BC were probably all like, oh man, can you believe we never farmed before this? We surely know everything there is to life at this point. Then in
I actually like that. That's pretty funny. See, Philip, you're fucking funny, dude. You got humor. That's a good joke. I like that. I got a kick out of that shit.
500 BC, we were probably all like, can't believe we didn't have democracy before. We've definitely figured everything out by now. In the 16th century, during the scientific revolution, we probably felt the same way that we finally uncovered the ultimate truth with science. Then came the industrial and information revolutions in the 20th century, each time believing we've achieved the peak of human existence only to figure out how wrong we were decades later. There's actually a popular scientific fallacy that insists science is right, full stop. Once we uncover the truth of the world, we're done, and anyone who denies it is stupid and ignorant. But a modest familiarity of the history of science offers many examples of matters that scientists had thought they resolved only to discover that they were wrong.
But this is where this argument falls apart. I see what he's trying to say here. He's doing that whole thing where you throw your hands up and you're like, well, who knows anything anyway? Maybe someday it'll all change. The thing that he's not acknowledging is that science it's a pyramid. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. The reason someone in Mesopotamia planting wheat 8,000 years ago is a direct line in some way or another to me having a fucking hard drive on my desk with plastic made from oil mined from the earth with a microchip made in Taiwan in a fucking factory, and me to be able to broadcast this to millions of people. That's another major scientific principle. We stand on the shoulders of giants. All of those revolutions and things he's talking about are logical progressions on top of one another. They build off that. Yes, there's sometimes tweaks and differences and changes. I just did a whole video talking about the expanding Earth theory, which is an old theory before we understood plate tectonics. And that was wrong, but between expanding Earth and plate tectonics, there was continental drift and all kinds of other shit, and each time it refined a little bit more. So yes, someday we may know more about exploding stars creating carbon, but there is evidence to support it. We're just going to refine our understanding. Whereas the things that I made the video about you talking about, Philip, that we have not really discussed at all in this video, are things that there's actually evidence against. That's the fucking difference.
Nobel Prize winner George Bernard Shaw is famously quoted as saying, all great truths begin as blasphemies. The earth is round. Once a blasphemy, now a fact.
And that is completely true, Philip. But that does not mean that all blasphemies are going to turn into profound scientific truths, especially when there's evidence against them. When people were up in arms about the earth being round, it was because that was just the dogma. That was the thing everyone believed. As far as they could observe, the earth was flat. Not only that, but there was also some, religious sort of fanaticism that fed into it. But there was no actual evidence that the earth was flat. In fact, there was evidence that the earth was round. And so that was the theory that became accepted. With the Bosnian pyramid, it's not like someone kind of suggesting this thing that has a ton of evidence and everyone's just plugging their ears because they don't want to listen to it. There's evidence against it. There's evidence that it isn't like that. These comparisons that you're making are completely unrelated to one another.
Or so they say. Same with the theory of evolution through natural selection, germ theory that germs cause diseases, atom theory. Were all once considered to be misinformation, with their researchers mocked and shunned from society. We continue to progress by constantly questioning the current status quo, and sometimes we learn what we thought was right was wrong, or vice versa. Not saying any of the theories I talk about are 100% true, but it's this process of questioning and discussing them that we make new discoveries. When I talk about advanced civilizations, giants, ancient aliens, it's not because I believe them to be the ultimate truth. It's because these ideas exist, and humans are capable and should be encouraged to engage with ideas through thought. You are allowed to talk about things that you don't necessarily think are the absolute truth. Don't take things too seriously and don't take them too personally. And that's my problem here. We live in a very dichotomous society where people can enjoy the
Ooh, he hit us with dichotomous? God damn, Philip. Look at you, fucking college educated, in your beige ass room. gray ass room.
Nuances of a fringe theory and claim that every idea has to be either 100% true or it's a conspiracy. You're only allowed to enjoy regular science topics.
Wait, Philip, Philip, to be fair, you're arguing for the complete opposite thing, which is equally wrong. Earlier in the video, you did do the thing where you're like black and white, but the other thing you're arguing for is just homogeneity, homogeneousness. I don't fucking know. Which is that anything that falls between guaranteed truth and complete fabrication is somehow equally valid. It's not, it's a spectrum.
Or solely only conspiracy videos, you can enjoy both. I prefer to adopt the philosophy that any fact has the potential to be disproven at any
Philosophy. That's good.
point, and any conspiracy has a potential to be proven. This is the ideology that allows us to progress and make new findings that push us forward. Say we banish the crazy, evil Giza power plant theory from ever being discussed, and 1,000 years from now we, I don't know, build a time machine that allows us to prove with a higher degree of certainty that maybe a part of that theory was true. We'll look back at the last 1,000 years and be like, oh gee, we sure lost a lot of progress on learning from that theory when we banned it from being discussed back in 2024. Conspiracy theories that were shunned from society that later turned out to be true. I'm sure glad that's never happened before.
Philip, I'm glad you have some examples of that to bolster your straw man, but you know that's not what I'm trying to do. You're putting words in my mouth, bro. I'm not trying to fucking silence you.
And this idea that we need to be open to the ever-changing, malleable nature of what's considered a fact and what's a conspiracy pisses a lot of people off. Especially...
Philip, there was a comment in this video. I don't know where it is. I'll have to find it to use in the other one, but someone said, be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out. And I think that sums it up. Yes, I'm not trying to tell you to not be open-minded or not think critically or not weigh all the evidence. Just, you don't have to fucking believe literally everything that comes across your screen or weigh it all as having the same weight, because it fucking doesn't.
The academics, professors, students, career archaeologists have been so accustomed to the scientific method of determining truth.
Aw, why do you gotta do my boy Flint like that? What the hell does that even mean? Is it a fucking hacksaw? It doesn't look man-made to me. Oh, Jesus.
Their entire lives that anything that doesn't fit inside of it is without a doubt totally false. Which, in their defense, they should be. Science has brought incredible advancements to humanity, but it also breeds the expert bias. I believe they should be more open to outsider perspectives as they're subject to this confirmation bias within their own expert circles, but I'm just an idiot.
No, you aren't an idiot, Philip. Damn, dude. You're not an idiot. I mean that. Like, that's a fucked up way of thinking. As someone who is, like, I acknowledge that I am in academia. I am proud of being in academia, and I've spent a lot of time in it. And I totally agree that we need to fucking break down those walls, dude. It's fucked. It is awful. It breaks my heart to see that. To see you call yourself an idiot. Like, as much as I'm gonna play with you here, have some fucking fun, like we're gonna joust it out as we always do. Like, that all sounded very homoerotic, my apologies. We're gonna joust it out, bro. I mean, when I say, like, I have heard a lot of people call themselves idiots and just throw their hands up and say, well, I guess I'm fucking stupid or I don't know anything. And that is from having a bad experience with science. I don't want to put words or experiences in your mouth, but I know a lot of people who have said that, they just had a bad fucking science teacher or they never felt like they were encouraged to be smart in that field. I don't know if this is the case for you, Philip, but I know people who speak this way and that's what they experienced. And as someone in the scientific field, I pray for a day when we can accept more people into it and that it isn't an ivory tower. I talked about that in my video on the pseudo-archaeology pipeline as well at Virginia Tech. I think that's a really important thing because we need to look not only at the conspiracies and, how to dispel them, but also why people are drawn to them in the first place. And conspiracies make people feel smart. They make people who feel like they were shunned by the scientific community feel like they suddenly have an understanding that the scientists who made them feel shitty don't have. And that's a fucking great thing because they feel fired up about it, but then they're baited into something that's wrong. And at the end of the day, the scientific community has to take a good long look at themselves and be like, how can we make what we do here more appealing to them so that they don't go there in the first place, so that they come to us and are able to fucking listen to facts and reason and are able to understand the papers that are written and be able to see that there is rationale backing this up. It's not just a fucking cult of personality. So I agree with that, and Philip, you're not a fucking idiot.
Case in point, Troy. For the longest time, it was believed that the story of Troy was just a Greek myth, and anyone who believed it was laughed at, until a German businessman and amateur archaeologist discovered it and proved it to be true. Just like Atlantis, it hasn't been discovered yet, but career archaeologists probably aren't looking for it. We still need to be careful and not fall into the camp of the far-gone conspiracy theorist who adamantly believes with 100% certainty the government's lying to us and hiding the truth. Those people are no better than the Google debunkers who think the news, academics, our science, and history textbooks are 100% unquestionably true.
Well, that's the thing, Philip. You're speaking with so much hyperbole that you're building a straw man. Nobody thinks that the history books are 100% true. Even me in the Google debunkers camp. I don't fucking think that. But you're arguing against a straw man here, so you're putting those words in my mouth. I don't fucking think that. Nobody thinks that.
Live in certainties, you get angry. Or as a wise man named Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, only a Sith deals in absolutes. When you choose to face the world with an open mind,
the irony, Philip, is that what you're kind of looking at is an absolute. You're willing to just say that everything, no matter how much evidence there is for or against it, is somehow on the same playing field. That's an absolute. There isn't. I don't deal in absolutes. I don't know a single person who fucking does. But claiming that we are made of stardust is on the same level as the Giza pyramid fucking power plant theory, that's closer to a fucking absolute because you're claiming that both of those are somehow both a similar amount of acceptable.
and all facts of history, science are opening for questioning, and the most ridiculous conspiracy theory ever has a possibility, however slim, to be true, life just gets better. You're not an angry Google debunker fighting fringe theories, trying to convince them and maybe even yourself that they're 100% wrong and crazy. And you're also not a conspiracy nut job, blowing a fuse at anyone who suggests that maybe the frogs aren't gay. It's just a better way to live, in my philosophy, and how I choose to do so. Telling someone they're not allowed to think a certain way or share certain thoughts online is the real harm to society. So, to end off, I will agree to a sort of gentleman's agreement.
You know what? I'm going to agree with the philosophy, and I can tell you that I'm already going to use this in my video in like a fully respectful way. I think it's a fucking clever little piece right here, and I think we could all use a page out of philosophy. And in fact, I feel like I already kind of practice philosophy, which is that I don't want to silence anyone, and no one should be silenced. So remember to preach the gospel of Phil, and don't fucking silence people. I agree with you, Philip.
Is the real harm to society. So, to end off, I will agree to a sort of gentleman's agreement between myself, my fans, my #1 superfan, my haters, the Google debunkers, and the open-minded. I will continue to make videos that interest me and blow my mind. That's where my passion lies, and I will continue to follow it. And yes, I am just as passionate about crazy nutjob theories as I am about mind-blowing facts about space and science. I'm not gonna silence my true self and pretend that these fringe theories don't interest me anymore because a vocal group of online people told me to. I'll have videos that discuss flat earth and hollow earth theory, as well as others that talk about the largest stars in our galaxy or math puzzles. If I ever come across a conspiracy that truly tickles my brain in the right spots, I will probably make a video on it. And same goes for an interesting topic about math, science, physics, and so on. And listen, I'm not here to debate that my theories are true and the mainstreams are not, because the mainstream ideas might very well be true. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't question them, no matter how ridiculous the questions are, or play devil's advocate, as I commonly do. I admit that adding a disclaimer to my conspiracy videos stating just a theory may or may not be true is actually a pretty good idea, but it's not something that I'm going to be able to repeat 100 times throughout the entire video. So,
okay, Philip, thank you. Thank you. That is literally all I am asking. At the very fucking least. That is all. I am not asking you to stop making these videos. I am glad to hear that your conclusion from this is I want to keep doing the things I'm passionate about. That is something that I'm trying to encourage you to do. I tried to with the last video, just I didn't want it to ever come across as me trying to silence you, which is made it explicitly clear. You still kind of fucking straw man me here a bit, claiming that I was trying to silence you, which I wasn't. But I'm glad your takeaway from this is I want to keep doing the things that I'm interested in. Fuck yeah, you should keep doing that. And I appreciate that you can recognize that you gotta add a little disclaimer to some of the things, because I'm sorry, but not all of your videos are created equal. Yes, you talk about some, the largest stars in the solar system. That's fucking great. And yeah, maybe give some sources there too if you want to be, more consistent. And then when you do talk about something like, I don't know, the fucking, the pyramid power plant or something like that, give a little bit of a disclaimer, even if it's in the beginning. You can say like, I don't know, just as a heads up, this is fucking, I don't know, I don't need to give you an example. You already fucking know what you're doing. God damn it.
Oh, if you like my regular fact videos about space, technology, science, physics, math, I always have made them, never stopped, and will continue to do so. And if you absolutely hate my conspiracy videos, too fucking bad. Down.
I'm not gonna lie, Philip, that actually went hard as fuck.
About them, leave an angry comment, make a debunking series on them, or just be a normal human being and scroll past them. But I will continue to make them on the basis of open-minded and free thinking, as well as just following my passions. Look at it this way, if I continue to make crazy conspiracy videos only to have them downvoted to shit and perform horrendously compared to my regular science fact videos, that would just further debunk the myth that I'm only doing this for clout and profit too, right? Maybe, just maybe, I'm actually passionate about these topics. And hey, for people like Milo and fans of his debunking videos, it gives them an endless stream of content to create and enjoy, using my topics to create their own videos that will continue to top their charts and views. Videos like these wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for morons like me, am I right?
Philip, dude, I get you're saying that as a joke, but like, there's a little fucking stab in there, bro. You're not a moron. I struggle with that with my work all the time. I talked about that I talked about it at the end of my video talking about you, where I feel some shame in doing what I do sometimes. I never want to make it seem like I'm just calling someone a fucking idiot, even though that's what my caricature does, and that's how I got my start. And it's something I'm trying to move away from. I want to try and do more videos like this, where I'm like actually giving criticism of the content itself, trying to keep the individual slightly more out of it, and then at the end of it sort of build it back up. That's what I want to try and do. I'm gonna have to make a big point about this in my official debunk. Or my official response video to this, but I really don't want you to, what the fuck is the term? A lol cow. I really don't want you to become a lol cow or think about yourself as that. Like, you're not just a fucking punching bag, like, you actually have self-worth, and you're passionate about shit. You're a good fucking communicator and a good creator. I'm not telling you to get off the internet. I'm not telling you to not be passionate about it, and I'm not saying that because you don't have a degree in archaeology, you don't have a position in it, and you don't have a place to talk about this shit. I'm just saying that you have a responsibility to have more diligence to make sure the things you're saying are factual.
You keep milking my videos to pay off that mortgage, buddy. Daddy's got your back.
Okay, so he must have watched my video because that was a reference to an actual joke I made in it, which is pretty good. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
I get to keep doing what I love, talking about facts and theories that interest me, and people like him get to keep doing what they love, hating on people they disagree with. Which is kinda ironic, calling me out for chasing views with conspiracy videos when it's exactly what you're doing in your pretentious, spiteful debunking videos filled with ad hominem character attacks, which are clearly the videos that get the most views. Or maybe focus on debunking real harmful misinformation.
You know what, Philip? That's actually a very good point. That's something I've also talked about on my channel a lot, that one of the most difficult things to do is to diversify from the thing that everyone knows you for. In fact, that's something that I talked about in my video talking about you. I have made a lot of videos doing stuff that isn't debunking. I have gone to fucking Göbekli Tepe, goddammit. I started my fucking Dark Roots series. I've been to, geologic sites, hunted for fucking fossils. I've made videos on all that shit. And you know what? You're right. Those things don't do as well. And that's a really difficult thing that creators like you and I have to contend with. That at the end of the day, the thing that always gets the most reaction is something that's reactionary. So what I am trying to do is find a balance between making that reactionary content. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you. I did say this all in my video. Is finding a balance between that reaction content and making it actually go somewhere so it isn't just wailing on a dude. So I hope that makes sense.
Information that could actually save lives. Just turn on CNN. There's surely no shortage of that. And if you think those debunking series don't promote hate and censorship, I'm sure the comments below will more than prove my point. The core of my channel stands on a simple principle. Question everything. The formation of stars is a theory. Ancient civilizations having advanced technology we're unaware of is a theory. They're all interesting to me and I love learning about it all. People who love my regular fact videos can watch those and enjoy them. Those who like my mysterious theory videos can watch them and enjoy them too. Those who don't like them don't need to watch them and can live in peace knowing that it may or may not be true. But if my controversial mystery videos somehow taint your enjoyment of my other videos, you don't have to watch any of them. If you ever catch yourself thinking that any idea is absolutely 100% false and needs to be silenced, just remember the wise words of Obi-Wan. Practically everything I talk about is a theory, and nothing I ever talk about I ever try to peddle as the absolute, ultimate, irrefutable 100% truth as some people do. Whether a
I don't peddle things as being the 100% truth. I've made videos debunking myself. I'm more than open to criticism, Philip. I think that's the thing that you weren't prepared for with this video, is that I was expecting you to criticize me a little bit as well, and it's something that I've dealt with before. As happy as I am to see that you actually took probably the only piece of criticism that I did give you that I wanted you to take, which is to add fucking disclaimers or something like that. I am disappointed that you pretty much built this on a straw man for most of this video. I never tell anyone that what I'm saying is the 100% fucking truth, and I think anyone who watches my videos knows that. If you know anyone who says they know 100% the truth about anything, they fucking don't. So I'm sorry, Philip, but as a reminder, that video that I made getting that, reaction to punch down on you was, yeah, it talked about your character, but really it was talking about the things you were saying, and the things you were saying were wrong, backed up with receipts. So it wasn't me trying to fucking cancel you or censor you, it was me trying to fucking look at what you were saying from an actual factual lens.
Space fact or an archaeological mystery, all I'm ever asking is what if. Even if in some videos I may sound very passionate and adamant about the theory I'm talking about, that's just how I get when I research an interesting topic. And it would sort of ruin the flow of the video if I just said, remember, this is just a theory and it may not be true every 10 seconds.
I don't think, and then again, Philip, that's hyperbole. I'm not expecting you to say it every 10 seconds. You just it's the phrasing, it's the way you convey it through the video. You would never have to mention that disclaimer at all if you just used the proper language throughout the video that isn't speaking in absolutes. The goal is to make the video flow naturally enough that you don't feel like you have to add some fucking disclaimer or give like a big warning at the beginning. The language that you use should support the fact that you're not trying to speak in absolutes if you truly aren't.
Always talk about a wide variety of topics, so there's almost definitely something in there that will interest you. But if open-minded and free-thinking discussion on fascinating what-if theories isn't for you, just don't watch my videos and your life will be better. It's that easy.
Well, that is a good point, but the thing about shorts is that you don't really have a choice. With YouTube videos, you have to pick to click on them, so it's easy to pick to not click on them. But with shorts, they are just appear in front of your face and everyone's fucking slackjaw staring at the screen, scrolling. So when something kind of interesting comes up and it plays, you can't really blame the consumer for going out of their way to watch it when it was kind of just shoved in their face anyway. Yeah, they could scroll off it, but I still think that's an unfair responsibility to put on the viewer to do your due diligence of, not letting themselves absorb misinformation. Now let's see what his final little attack is here.
What a shame. You could have had a successful science fact channel and you just threw it all away. Guess I'll be unsubscribing now.
Okay, that was a pretty good ending. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. All right, Philip. Well, that's the end of the Filip Zieba debunked video. Consolidate my final thoughts here. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't good, but it definitely wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I am gonna make a point to go through this video and the comments, and I definitely saw most that are, I think, very valid and did a really good job of actually responding to the video. But there was a lot that were way more harsh than they need to be, and I think I need to make a point in my upcoming video to be like, don't fucking do that. That's not the point of this, so stop. That being said, a lot of this argument was kind of just based on a fallacy, putting words in my mouth of things that I didn't say and do not believe. It also does not even touch on any of the things I actually talked about in the video, really. This entire thing was kind of just him talking about how, censorship is bad and he won't be silenced. But I made a point about that very briefly, saying I wasn't trying to censor him, and then spent 4 hours fact-checking a lot of his archaeological videos. So none of that was actually discussed, which is disappointing because now I have to talk about something that's a lot more like subjective. But there you go, everyone. That was the Filip Zieba debunked video. Well, that's gonna be really fun. Oh, I have to update my comment. Let's see, edit. Oh yeah, baby. This one's good. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to smash that like button, and most importantly, remember to silence everyone. Don't let anyone you ever disagree with ever say anything ever. Kill them. Hit them in the head with a